Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Risa, and I'm joining you from San Francisco. I'm the Global Head of Partnerships here at Ivy, which is a business management tool for home professionals. And I'm live here with Anastasia Casey from the Identity Collective. And we are so thrilled to be bringing you some really, truly amazing content today about how to craft the perfect email marketing strategy. This topic is very near and dear to my heart because I really believe in newsletters and email marketing. But with email marketing, it's the only list that you truly own. So we're going to cover how to grow your email list while adhering to legal guidelines. I know that sounds not so sexy, but trust me, Anastasia will make it sexy. How to leverage your existing content to ensure your email marketing feels fresh, and how to determine what content to add to convert followers to dream clients. So a little bit about Anastasia, who we've worked with on a couple different webinars. We've done panel events with her. She is truly amazing. If you don't follow her, you should definitely start following her. She is the founder and creative director of the interior design serving creative studio, the Identity Collective. She has a passion for helping creatives design a business that is both sustainable and lucrative through thoughtful design and strategic marketing. All really tough things. That's why we leave it to you, because you're the master. And Anastasia splits her time in between Austin and San Francisco, serving clients across the globe. Now, what she's done, if you follow her, you would probably know she's mixed things up a little bit, and she's really the only professional that does this in the interior design sector. And the Identity Collective Studio is a creative studio for interior designers specialized in branding, web design, Instagram marketing, and the studio also runs Identity Collective, which is a business and lifestyle blog catered to the interior design industry with over 100,000 monthly viewers. So thank you so much for joining us. For those of you that do want to learn a little bit more about Ivy, we'll make sure to cover that at the end of our session. I'm just super eager to get started. And I want to make sure that everybody can hear me. I know some people said that they can't hear me. Just make sure that you are on Chrome as your browser and that you have your volume all the way turned up. So Anastasia, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you guys all so much for being here. I always get the first day school jitters when we do these. So the fact that you're here means so much to me. Again, we specialize in interior design industry. We've just really been able to lean into it. And I think it's really helpful for all of the Ivy users to know that when you get to that phase in your business, you are ready to talk to someone who knows the industry. So I'll have all of my contact info up there that you can click over and reach out to me if you have any other questions, but let's go ahead and dive in. Here it is. We'll circle back around to this, and I know Risa will have this for you guys too. Okay, so the way I broke it down today, we're going to talk about why your email list should be your priority, how to grow your email list and how to keep it legal, which email platforms you should be using, how to keep your content fresh and the value of evergreen content, and how to create content that converts to dream clients. Now, there's a couple buzzwords in there that you're probably like, I don't even know what that is, and that's perfect. I hope you don't, so that we can change your life today. Okay, why your email list should be your priority. Okay, Risa had mentioned this, and it's so true. Your email contact list is the only contact list, follower group, any means of communication that you actually own. Think about it. There may have been some glitches on certain platforms lately. Some platforms have been down for days at a time. If one of those platforms was to shut down, you'd have no way of contacting all of those people in those relationships that you've built up over, 3, 5, 6, 7 years. So you really want to be driving traffic to your email list so that if that platform shuts down, if someone's no longer a user on that platform, if someone changes their username, you still have a way to make sure that you are getting FaceTime with them and making and building those genuine connections. Another reason why your email list should be a top priority is because your blog posts are going to receive on average a 40% higher view rate when sent by email versus just posting about it on Instagram or on your Facebook page. You want to be sending out emails, driving traffic to that blog post. And finally, email marketing offers an immediate two-way conversation, an opportunity to open a conversation. Everyone's inbox is super, super personal. I know that I really filter my inbox. I really just want things that are from people I know, people I follow, and like truly value their content. And when you have, 200-300 emails coming in a day, you want to make sure the ones that are in there are super high quality. So by creating genuine, thoughtful content for your email list, you are now in that personal space, and it's a really easy thing for someone to just reply back to that email and keep that conversation going. A big question I always get is like, okay, Anastasia, how do I grow my list? Like, I can figure out how to get new followers. Excuse me. I can figure out how to get new followers. I'm putting everything out on Pinterest. I'm using Houzz all the time, but how am I actually growing my list? So I put together some thoughts as to how you can do that. I think a really great option for you guys is to provide project sources exclusively to your email list. So for instance, when you post a portfolio project on Instagram, you have your big reveal day and you get all those questions and it's like, who's the wallpaper? What's the source on the couch? Or those rude comments when it's just like table ? A great option, and you can save this in your notes on your phone so it's a quick reply, is just to say, hey, if you sign up for our email list, we provide all of the project sources there. Now, I know that that's a tricky thing in the design industry, that sometimes designers are really happy to share their sources, and sometimes designers are like, that is custom proprietary information for our bespoke clients. So a way to get around that would to be sharing similar sources or other finds that you can find retail. I've done another webinar talking about affiliate links with Ivy, and I'm sure Risa can direct you guys that way if you want to talk about how you could monetize that as well. But I think saving that information just for email subscribers is a big incentive for people to sign up. You also want to make sure that there's a subscribe opt-in on your blog and portfolio pages. So when I'm flipping through portfolios or when I'm looking for inspiration, I go straight to someone's portfolio. I usually will skip over their blog because I want to see their work and their work exclusively. So as you're flipping through someone's projects, you want to make sure that there is a place right there to subscribe so that you know when a new project is revealed, you can feel like you're always up to date on what's happening. You also want to make sure, of course, on the blog side that there's a place to subscribe. This is a really fun tip that I've been seeing a lot happen, and there's like something like a 70% higher subscribe rate if you use some sort of quiz. And there's this program called Interact, and it's just like interact.com, and you can create a quiz. And so I thought a design style quiz could be really fun for you guys and like help someone identify their style. And in order for them to do that, they put in their email address. And then, of course, that grows your list. They get cool information from it. And then from there, you can push them to further blog posts and more content that goes along with that. Of course, you can host a giveaway on Instagram. And I usually, for giveaways, like to do just one call to action. So it'll be like two. So follow us and, tag a friend. Or in this case, we'd want people to subscribe at the link in bio. Especially if you're doing a group giveaway, that's a really fun one where you can get, 2 or 3 other designers, or maybe you partner with a wallpaper company you love and, a decor vendor you love. And so you guys are all growing your list. That's an option too. And that converts really well. Those are also going to be some really high quality followers and subscribers. So that's a huge bonus. The last idea that I put together for you guys was maybe reserving your before and afters for your email list, which you can opt in under portfolio. So for instance, on your portfolio page, maybe you have all of the beautiful professional photos of the after, but you can have a subscribe option that says want to see the before, and then that way someone can sign up to see those other images as well. And I think that's a really fun option. Okay, so there's a lot of legal stuff that goes with email marketing. not only here in the United States, but also in Europe. Now, if you have visitors coming from the EU, you have a whole different set of rules. You need to have a pop-up that discloses that you are containing their information. But I'm just going to kind of simplify it for you. And I don't want to freak you out because it is a $16,000 fine for every email you send that you are not adhering to these rules. If you're caught or turned in or whatever. So in order to avoid that hefty fine, there's just a few basics we want to go over. The main thing is people need to understand what they're signing up for, need to confirm that they're signing up for it, and they also need to be able to find out where it is you're storing that information, their contact information. So that's where like the privacy policies come in. So you want to make sure that wherever you have a subscribe box, that there is an opt-in checkbox. And so whether you're using MailChimp to sign up, it's built into your website, talk to your web designer. You want to make sure that there is a secondary opt-in. You can also do it via second, what do they call it? Second opt-in. So immediately after someone signs up, they're sent an email and you need to click and confirm that you did in fact sign up for that email list. So that's the first thing. Your privacy policy is like a non-negotiable. This is something like legally you have to have now. You have to have on your website somewhere a separate page that says where it is you're storing this information. So as you're growing your list, people need to be able to reach out to you and say, hey, where are all the places that you are storing my email? And for instance, you would tell them that we store it in MailChimp and we, track it for Facebook pixels and we have it here and there. And this is something you can talk to your attorney about. It's usually a couple $100s to get a custom privacy policy, but again, it can really benefit you in the long run. If any sort of lawsuit was to come up, you want to make sure and guarantee that your site is legal. You need to disclose your location. So at the bottom of your emails that you send out, MailChimp automatically populates that. You need to make sure that it's obvious where you're coming from, and that needs to be true. So for instance, if you have a PO box, that's great. If you have a physical office, that's great. If you don't and you work from home, you want to look into getting a PO box because you do need a physical contact that someone could reach out to you if they have questions and want to follow up on an email or get removed from an email. So another thing that technically falls under the law is that you need to have honest headlines, like no false promo codes. You can't false advertise in your headline. It needs to talk about the actual content that's in there. And again, if it's some sort of like tricky secret subject line, that is something that someone could potentially sue you over. So you need to include in the email down at the bottom where they signed up. So MailChimp makes it super easy when you first create a list for people to sign up on. You can say where they signed up from. So if you know that this sign up list is on your blog, you'll just say you're receiving this email because you signed up for the Identity Collective's lifestyle blog updates. And that's all you need to say. But it's just a little reminder so that they know where they signed up. It covers your butt, but it also is nice because when they see that, they're like, oh yeah, I did sign up for this, and you won't get one of those unsubscribes. And then lastly, you need to make sure that your emails marketing include an instant opt-out. So down at the bottom, someone needs to be able to unsubscribe and they shouldn't have to reply to an email. It needs to be an instant opt-out. So that's the legal side of it. I know it sounds all scary. A lot of these things are not practiced regularly by people, but I would rather teach you guys the correct way to do things so you set it up once than have to go back and fix it later. Okay, and now that we've talked about all this, it starts to get a little confusing. I did want to chat about the 3 preferred email platforms we like to use. I would highly recommend MailChimp for anybody, basically on any different web platform. MailChimp is free up to 2,000 email list subscribers, and it'll just include like a little footer that says MailChimp down at the bottom. Free's awesome, right? And they have easy building blocks to kind of put together the different look, and it'll automatically have the opt-in, opt-out, subscribe, etc. It lets you share it to different social platforms. MailChimp, that's what they do. It's really easy, and again, it's free. ConvertKit. If you are a designer who's really investing in your blog content, who is pushing out 3 blog posts a week or more, and that's really how you're making your money or how you would like to be making your money, I really recommend checking out ConvertKit. ConvertKit will be an option where you have email funnels. And so halfway down a blog post, someone can sign up for more information of that blog post, and then they'll get an immediate PDF that you put together that has more resources, like for instance, your guide to rugs, and it'll be your rug sizing guide, and that's what they'll get in the download. So it's a much more engaged, much more sophisticated option. It is fairly expensive, but again, if you are really investing in your content, I want to make sure that people are seeing that content and converting that content. So ConvertKit is a great option for you. Lastly, I wanted to include Wix because that's what we build our email or our website templates on, and they have an amazing integrated email system that's right in your website. And I think that that's so helpful for a lot of people running a small business. They don't want a bunch of different platforms. It is free with your website, and if you end up getting a certain number of subscribers, you can go ahead and upgrade it. Or if you send more than 30 separate emails a month, not different people, but separate email campaigns, you need to upgrade. But let's be real, who's sending that many emails? So again, if you want to check out our templates, that'll be something that's included in it, and it's really nice to just kind of have it all in one place. Okay. So now we want to talk about how to keep your content fresh. So you can do a few different things. I have a lot of designers who are like, I'm not sending out an email this month because we didn't get a big project reveal. We're waiting on photos, something, we're waiting on counters at this kitchen. We're just not there yet. And I really want to help you guys understand that you don't need to just wait for when you have huge big projects to reveal. There's a few different ways that we can keep content fresh and informative, and actually it could help convert better than even a project reveal. So the first thing I want to talk about is the option to save one image from each project reveal for exclusive use only in emails, meaning it's something you don't share on Instagram. It's something that you aren't putting onto Pinterest. It's something that looks like a completely new image, which will really help with those click-throughs. Sorry, thought I had to sneeze. Okay, the next thing, I want to touch on that a little bit more. So for instance, if you have a new project reveal, you had already posted about it on Instagram, it's being held off for publication somewhere, for all of those different reasons, you might want to hold off one more image, because then when someone opens that email from you, it looks like a totally different project. It's a different shot that they've seen, and your click-through rate is just going to be so much higher, and that's really the goal. We can also talk about using past projects in the second half of your email. So this is a big thing I do for our clients. We'll have a project reveal up top, front and center, then we'll have some other content in between, and then down at the bottom, we'll have other project reveals, because even your most loyal, dedicated followers, your most active readers, your mom and her best friend sometimes will miss an email update or miss a project reveal, and that's just how it is. People are busy and they get caught up in life. So I really like to include similar projects down at the bottom with one of those reserved photos that we talked about saving just for emails down at the bottom, so that people can click through to other content. For instance, if you are presenting 1234 Main Street's gorgeous kitchen renovation up at the top of this new email, down at the bottom, you should be linking 2 or 3 other kitchens, so that people, now that you know that they're interested in kitchens, can kind of keep along that theme. So that's something I really like to do, and that kind of leads us into evergreen content and that concept. You also want to be using old blog content. So I know a lot of you guys are producing awesome content about like our favorite mixing bowl roundup, or the Amazon Prime sale, or anything along those lines. You can go back into old blog posts, update with new product sources so that it's different and that things are still in stock, and then add new project photos. So for instance, we wrote a blog post 6 months ago about dining room, chair, and table combinations. And since then, we have new photos that would perfectly align with that post. But at the time that we started and wrote that post, those pictures didn't exist. So by going in, updating your photos to an old blog post so that it is like fresh and new, that's what you start to call evergreen content, and you can refresh people and send that out again. So again, you want to make sure that your links are correct 6 months later when you go back to an old blog post, and you want to possibly update the images as well. And this is a really good use of your time because it'll take a fraction of the amount of time to update an old blog post over coming up with a completely new blog post to then create a newsletter and go through there. So you want to make sure that you're using all of the content you've created, because that 72-hour lifespan something has on Instagram is not doing you any favors. We want to extend this content you spent so much time and resources and energy in. So I also really, really focus this for our clients, talking about telling a story and explaining how you solved a problem for your client. It is common practice in the industry to just show the after and to just show this is all the things we did, and we had a $500,000 budget, and this is so amazing. But so many of you guys are literally solving problems and changing people's lives because they couldn't come up with a solution for their space. And so by telling how you solved the problem for someone, expressing what the problem was and what their dilemma was, and how you created a new story and a new solution for them, and how that functions for that family or couple or single person in their space, is really a valuable content marketing piece, because people will relate to that. If you're talking about a small galley kitchen, and it was cut off from everything else, and they have 3 kids and they just didn't have enough room, if you can tell how you problem solve for that, that's how you're going to start converting clients. Lastly, I really love the idea of asking for advice, even if you don't want it. Asking for advice in a this or that format. So using your email list to send out 2 cabinet color options for an upcoming project, and inviting people to respond and tell you which one they prefer is the best way to get people involved. People want to offer their opinions, want to offer their advice. And if you can get someone to reply back to your email, then you are golden, and you can start that conversation, and suddenly you're having a one-on-one session with someone versus a mass marketing email chain. So I really love that. Some other examples you could give would be, do we knock down this wall? Do we not knock down this wall? It could be something as simple as like this rug or that rug. But that is a great option for you guys, and it's content that you have because you're probably making those choices anyway. Don't feel that you have to take everyone's advice, but it's a great way to start that conversation. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to create content that converts subscribers to your dream clients. I want you guys to stop saying yes to every client that comes to you. I want you to only say yes to clients that are your dream projects that are going to fuel your soul, because as soon as you start doing that, then there's more and more and more of them. So stop taking on clients that aren't dream clients. Focus on the really good ones. And this is how you can do it. So you can be providing testimonials in your emails in a super editorial way. So I love to do a little bio email newsletter about the family after they've moved back in, when you have your professional photographer there to do your shoot day. Have the family come in, take a picture for them, gift that to them. They can use it on their Christmas card, but then talk to them and do a little bio. This is a great place to talk about the problems you solved and to get direct testimonials from them. Next, we can talk about identifying those common design problems and present beautiful solutions. So, a lot of people are ripping out granite countertops right now. That's like super on trend to go either lighter or darker, whatever it is. This is a great opportunity for you to be providing content that really resonates with potential dream clients, and you can talk to them about how you go about doing that. What is the process for getting new countertops? What should you expect from it? When you Google new countertops, like, you never can get like a straight number. Provide that content for people, and then they're going to reach out and say, great, I've been dying to redo my counters. Let's do a kitchen reno. So think about what's happening in the market. What are your favorite clients struggling with, and present your content that way as providing answers. This next one is super important because I've seen it work over and over and over again. You want to be neighborhood specific. So think about where your dreamiest clients are, and if you can cater your content around that specific neighborhood, either highlighting a project that was in that neighborhood, highlighting homes for sale that were in that neighborhood, talking about your favorite restaurants that opened in that neighborhood. And this could be more than one neighborhood. Don't limit yourself to just one. But talking super locally, people then can connect with it so much better. So if you're even just talking about this super cute new homeware store that opened up in Brentwood and you are about to start a project there, someone else who's in Brentwood will see that and say, oh, cool, they're doing so-and-so's house. I should probably call her. We've been meaning to do this. Or better yet, Alan opens his email, he sees that there's a Brentwood project, and then he forwards it to his friend who lives in Brentwood, and then they see that. And so it kind of snowballs down. People really connect when it feels local to them. So I like the neighborhood specific approach. Another option, I know a lot of you guys are doing e-design transformations. If there's a killer one or a really large project you did for someone, go ahead, invest in having a photographer go out there and get some photos. So then in your emails, you can showcase e-design transformations, because that is an easy sell via email. If you showcase something that you don't even need to be on site for, people are like, yes, I want to redo this. I want to work with you. And it's okay that I don't live in Brentwood. And then finally, people are just really confused as to like how much a designer does or doesn't do, where the architect starts and stops, and where you should be hiring your designer. Most of the time it's not after the whole house is built. You want to get involved with a designer before that. So I really like doing little mini series talking about each step of your design process and kind of where someone could come in, where your expertise lies. If you typically just do furnishings, that's awesome, but talk to people about how you split your vendor discount with them. Talk to them about how you guys handle all of the ordering and all of the receiving, and you make sure that everything is perfect before it even gets installed. You want to tell people about all those ins and outs that you guys are working so hard daily so that they can get past the concept of designers just put together pretty things. It's like you guys have a really hard job and you're managing a lot of people. And so you want to express that to people so they're like, yes, it is worth the investment to work with a designer. Working with a designer is going to save me so much money, time, heartache, and possibly divorces. So go ahead and focus on your process and just educate people. They want to learn more about it. Okay, so now here we're up to the bonus material. This is where I think people get caught up and they're like, I don't want to just send out a boring newsletter. I don't have money to invest in a designer to be doing my newsletters for me. Here's our tips and tricks of the trade. Use Canva, which is an online design software where you can design your newsletters. They have amazing templates in there. It's totally free to use. Once you do that, you can go ahead and export them in different sections. So for instance, you'll design your pretty header with your logo and your title and your featured image. And then you'll export that section so that when they click on that picture in the email, it goes straight to that portfolio project or straight to that blog post. Then the next section might be talking about new arrivals in your shop, and then that clicks through and goes straight to your shop. So if you export the images and create one big newsletter, break it up into sections, each of those sections can then click through to something else. You are not limited to just what MailChimp lets you design with, their 10 fonts and their custom blocks. So it just creates a much more bespoke look and feels so much fuller and richer, and in a lot of ways can be much more on brand if you can just go ahead and design it elsewhere and then bring it in. And don't feel like you need to stick to the templates provided in MailChimp. There are lots of resources where you can find email newsletter templates. CreativeMarket.com has beautiful ones from independent freelance designers that you can purchase and kind of mock up in Photoshop, or you'll want to check what it says when you purchase it. It'll say what program it uses. But if you've got a designer on your team who can, get around in Photoshop, one of those templates works great. So again, to wrap things up, I just want you guys to realize that after you do a blog post, even if it's 6-8 months to a year later, it is still totally valuable. Just go in, update it a little bit, and share it. If you think about all the followers, subscribers, etc., that you've gained over the last year, that's a huge chunk of people who certainly didn't see it. Not to mention the fact that most emails only get a 40% open rate. So you want to go ahead and reuse that content so it's in an evergreen style, meaning it's always relevant. If you have seasonally specific posts, start thinking about that now. If you know you want to be talking about holiday sales, start thinking about it now. Look at your past blog posts, your past newsletters, and see how you can transition those and reuse them in the future. I want you guys always working smarter, not harder. And I really hope that this kind of clarifies, makes you guys feel inspired, and kind of breaks it off into bite-sized pieces. So, Risa, I don't know if you guys have any questions for me, but that is all we have.
Yay, that was awesome. So much great content. I mean, even just the little tidbits that you were mentioning about recycling content. I talk to designers about this all the time because it does seem super overwhelming on top of your job, which is designing, to like marketing is a whole other job. And it does seem a little bit overwhelming, but I think you provided us with really good tips and tricks to really be able to take this in and be like, okay, I can do email marketing and not be so overwhelmed. I will go through a couple of questions that came through as you were chatting.
Yeah, thank you.
About food for thoughts here. The wording testimonials versus reviews when you were talking about like editorial.
Editorial testimonials.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so it's certainly, I think testimonials is just like a stronger, more powerful word itself. I use editorial testimonials in the sense where we include photos of them, where we tell a story, and their testimonial, their actual review, is directly within that content. I think it's a lot more engaging. It feels a lot more high end, and it feels more personal too at the same time. So saying that, you know, you have 100 5-star reviews, that's great, but I do think interior design is super personal, not like you're buying a knife block on Amazon. So I would opt for saying testimonials and positioning it in that way versus just reviews, because it's not like a click to add to cart type of business.
Completely. And then, she was saying our sister company uses the word testimonials and we use reviews. I think it makes sense. I like, actually, if you're just talking about like a word like to use on your website, or I like the word reviews. Testimonial sounds like a little bit more salesy kind of to me. But regardless, I think even we sent out an email newsletter recently, and I think I love the idea of like personifying that email, personifying the experience, making the brand come to life. So instead of just using like a quick testimonial, sometimes it's nice to like put a picture of who the clients were that you helped, or put a picture of their house, or exactly what you said is like make it feel like this really cool experience that the person that's receiving your email really feels like you're speaking to them and that you can transform their house for them.
I think it's also a great bonus too, because when your client sees that you put together this whole newsletter all about them, you know they're sending that to all of their friends and neighbors like, hey, look at the full review, check out how amazing it looks. And that is instantly expanding your list and expanding your reach. And those are the best types of new clients, obviously, are referrals from past ones.
That's such a good idea. And then what I also saw recently, and I don't know if you have anything up on your screen that you want to show us like an example of something that you do in your emails, because I personally love your email. I love all of your stuff that you do. I don't want to put you on the spot though, but something that I saw, if you were doing like that editorial kind of testimonial kind of email marketing, at the bottom of it, I saw somebody that just sent out like, schedule a lunch and learn with us to come into our office to have like that first initial appointment. It was so cute how she branded it like at the bottom of her email, and you just click on it and it didn't even have to go to a scheduling app. You could just make it simple. It went to like an email that popped up, and I could have emailed her and just scheduled an appointment to come into her office and learn what the experience would be like working with that specific designer.
Right. I think that's awesome. Such a great use of space and such a great use of starting that, taking it from a mass marketing perspective down to like a one-on-one conversation.
Yeah. And then we might have covered this a little bit, but just having a very clear CTA, which means call to action in your email. What do you recommend in, like, say a designer's just starting out her strategy? Like, what do you recommend in a new email newsletter that the call to action should be? Obviously, it depends on the content that's there, but if you have any suggestions, that would be awesome.
Right. And I think that this is tricky and people get caught up on this. They feel like a call to action always has to be call us today to book your consultation. And that's certainly an option, but I want you guys to also be thinking longer term, because building this email list, this is a long game. Some people are able to book you and start with you tomorrow with their $200,000 budget, but a lot of people are starting to maybe think about it and they're, 2 years away from really being able to invest in it. So your call to action can say something along the lines of, you're showcasing a new project reveal. You can go ahead and say, click through to see the before, or click through to see the adjoining living room space, or click through to see how we opened this space up. So saying something along those lines that is a real specific endpoint, not just click through to read the post. That gives a lot more incentive, and it kind of tells people what the purpose of clicking through is.
Got it. That makes sense. And then, of course, like, all this information is really, really actionable. And I know things that I could do if I was a designer, but it also feels overwhelming. So how do you recommend, like, if I'm putting myself into the perspective of designer, how can I get started? Like, let's say I don't even have a MailChimp account, and let's say I decide I want to use MailChimp. Let's say I don't have an email subscriber list. Obviously, you gave us really actionable things to do, but how do I not feel overwhelmed by this process?
Yeah, so I would start by literally just go to MailChimp.com. You put in, I think it requires your name, your email. You'll have to verify your email so they know you're not like a spammer. You'll put in your address because they have to provide that legally. And then from there, just create your account. Just start with creating the account. Then I want you guys to go and make sure that you have connected the embed form. So MailChimp, as you create your account, it'll prompt you to create your first collection list, and then you'll put that onto your website. And honestly, I really believe in you guys. No matter what platform you're on, that's something you can do. Otherwise, reach out to your web designer and have them drop that in. And so that way you're starting to build the list. Now, I think a really manageable, actionable step is to do one newsletter a month. If you can do one newsletter a month, that feels good. People don't feel like you're spamming them. People feel like they're still in contact with you. And so once you first create your account and make sure that you're starting to get those email subscribes because it's on your website, I suggest that you come up with your first 3 email newsletter topics. And so that way you are kind of batch creating them, and that means they actually get done, because it's a lot easier to do 3 email newsletters at once than to do one, go back a month later, scramble, get the content, put it all together, maybe get it out, most likely not get it out. So if you put together your first 3 email newsletters, those are set. You can use that evergreen content that we talked about and possibly one project reveal, new project reveal, then you're set for the whole next quarter. So I think that that is like a very manageable thing you can do, and you'll start to see the difference right away.
Okay, that's a great answer. You answered a lot of questions in your answer to us, so that's great. And I like the idea of doing 3 newsletters at one time, recycling the content, whatever content you're pushing out on your social media platforms. You can always share, if you've been published in a magazine, you can share that content, and you're not coming up with new content. You just have to make it pretty in your email template. Another great question came in. This was a question I had for you. What about adding to MailChimp clients whose emails you have from working with them? So a couple different things. It's like, let's say you have emails from like your client list. Let's say in Ivy, you have like your client contact list, and you can actually export that from your Ivy account. Can you import that into your MailChimp account, and can you email them, or what parameters do you have to follow?
Right. So if it is a client, you can certainly add them to your list. So if they've been in your Ivy account and you've worked with them, even if you just sent them a proposal, that essentially is someone you can put into your list.
Okay.
If it is like a contractor that you have in your Ivy account, that would not be someone. If someone has inquired with you, then you are legally allowed to add them to your list. But if it's a contractor, like they'll still have to subscribe. So yes, you can export. MailChimp makes it super easy. You can add the list. You'll export it in a CSV file, and or an Excel file, either one, and it'll be like name, last name, email address, and then there's other columns that potentially you could have, but all that MailChimp needs is just the email list.
Okay.
It uploads. That all happens automatically. It takes like 10 seconds to upload, and then they're on the list.
Okay. Okay, cool. And what if the people that you said that you have to ask them to subscribe, is there an easy link in MailChimp that you can send them saying, hey, like I want to add you to my newsletter?
Yes. So absolutely. When you first create the subscribe little box that would be embedded in your website, you can go back to any list in MailChimp at any time, and there will just be a subscribe link, and you can just copy that and drop it into an email.
Okay, cool. So that goes like, I'm sitting here next to my desk and I have like a stack full of like business cards from like markets and stuff that I need to like get back to, and I need to like organize all of mine because I'm still old school and I like business cards. But let's say I go to market and I get a stack of business cards, and they might be vendors, they might be potential clients, they might be other designers, but like I really want to grow my email list. Is there a way to organize my contacts in MailChimp so that if I wanted to send out different lists to different people, I could do that? Or how does that work?
Yeah, so you can segment your list. However, what you just described is totally illegal and you shouldn't do that. So you can absolutely segment your list, but people have to physically subscribe to your email list. So they absolutely have to input their email list or write it down. You know how sometimes there'll be a trade and like you can sign up for someone's email list. If they've physically written it down and signed their name, then that is giving consent, but you cannot just take someone's business card and add them to your email list.
Exactly. So I would take these business cards and then I would send them an email saying like, do you want to subscribe to my newsletter? That's legal?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Yes, you could do that. And then you just have to make sure that once they're subscribed, or if they like don't reply or don't subscribe, then the only other type of email you can send them is like a personal email. You can't add them to your list. Yeah. It's a little tricky. It protects us in the long run, but that's a great example of where I feel like the line is kind of a little blurry, because it's like, well, I got their business card, I should be able to add them.
Yes, I agree. I agree. So thank you for clarifying. And it is not to scare anybody, but I did like how you submit the number. You told us the number that you will be fined if
it's like really big. $16,000 seems like a lot to me.
Yeah.
Per offense, not per individual person you sent it to, but per email you sent out. So
yeah. So just be mindful of that. And again, like I think that you provided us really good ways to get people to subscribe to your list, like having the pop-up on your newsletter, like having a downloadable freebie, like something that's really relevant, pertinent content. And then the people goes, oh, okay, I like the way that these people are giving me information. Like I want to learn more. I'm going to sign up for their email newsletter list. I know on a couple of designers' websites I've seen, right when you click on, it's like a pop-up that takes up the whole screen. It's like, hi, I'm Lindsay. And you can just sign up right there.
Right. This is like a super insider, like industry thing. I would be wary of your pop-ups. Google has passed a new ordinance where they are punishing websites that have a pop-up that takes up more than 20% of the screen on mobile. And by I say punishing, I mean that they'll show up lower in search results. So if you do have a pop-up, make sure that it's only on desktop and not on your mobile site. And just make sure that on your mobile site that you have like a regular embedded sign up form that's like in the content itself. Google is punishing anybody who has a pop-up for whether it's ads, whether it's any sort of thing. A pop-up, you will start to rank lower in search results. So keep your pop-ups just to desktop, and then for mobile, have it embedded directly into your content.
Great. That's really important to be mindful of. They're always changing the rules in the game, right? So
Yeah.
it's really important to be on top of your marketing, to be checking in, to be following people like you or like Ivy, who knows like what's happening in the industry, so that you guys can adjust your marketing and make sure that obviously that's, if somebody types in your name, you want to pop up first, and doing everything you can to make sure that you rank the highest.
Right.
A couple other questions. And how best can I organize all of my content? Like you said, to use Canva. Like I'm just thinking, if you're an interior designer and like if you have any recommendations of like how to organize all of this content for all of the different platforms.
Well, it's a juggle, but I like to treat the blog as kind of like home base. Basically, if it's content that we produced, like we want to make sure it's on the blog, because then it's searchable, like in Google, it's searchable on your site. So if you are doing anything, like if you did a special testimonial type email newsletter after the newsletter goes out, go ahead and put it up on the blog, so that way that content lives forever. It doesn't just disappear in someone's email. I like to kind of focus it there. We keep all of our files, all of our creative work, everything saved in Dropbox. And I have a blog post about how to like organize your files, but we do most of our creative work now in Canva, because then our whole team can access it. We have templates built right in. So we know we want to do a swipe up graphic in stories. Any one of our team members can go in and there's an exact template to work from. Same goes for our email marketing. There's a template that's already in there. And it was just a template that Canva provided that we customized with our branding colors and our logo and our fonts. And then that all lives there, so that there's a very clear space to go and find. And one thing I will say about that is the first time I did it, and was ready to hand it over to a team member, one of the girls who work for me, I just do a screen recording, and you can use Loom, LOOM.com, to record your screen while you're doing the task that you needed to do anyway. And then you just title it whatever task that is. So now anybody on your team always has the directions and knows how to do it. You've crossed that to do off your list, and someone has perfect step-by-step instructions that they can watch as many times as they need to know how to do it. So that's kind of like our quickest hack that makes managing your team easier. And just as people come and go, it's nice to have your processes in place. So Canva's killer for us. We use MailChimp and love MailChimp. Most of our clients use MailChimp. We use the Wix emails a lot, especially because most of our clients are built on Wix. So it's really nice that that's all embedded and we don't have to have a separate list or a separate platform for them. The fewer platforms they can have, the better. And well, of course, we still use the Creative Suite. So we still use InDesign and Illustrator and Photoshop for some of our bigger, like more robust projects.
Got it. So you can use, and I know people that have done this, like they've had a designer help them design a couple different MailChimp templates. So it's not like you're reinventing the wheel every time. I think that sounds calming and like a little bit of a sigh of relief.
Yes.
You're literally just plugging and playing. You're dropping in the content. The pretty newsletter template is already created for you.
100%. And I would actually advise not to switch up your email template that often, unless you're sending them multiple times a week, which I don't recommend unless you have tons of content you're pushing out. The more familiar it can look actually helps with your click-through rates, especially as a service-based business. When you're not trying to get people to click through to new products, you want your branding to look on point and polished and familiar, so people can really start to get that brand and name recognition like ingrained subconsciously.
Got it. And then when you're sending out a newsletter, is there like a limit that you recommend? You know, let's say you have 2 or 3 different like sections in your newsletter. What is the max you recommend?
You know, you want your email to be brief for a few reasons. A, you want to have something to push people to. So if you put all of your good content into your newsletter, there's no reason for someone to click through. So I would say that 3 sections is really ideal. You want someone to be able to read your whole newsletter in a matter of 2 minutes. And so when you have that testimonial, the story we had talked about, you know, that's front and center. And then maybe when it's like the additional evergreen content below where you wanted to reference 2 other kitchen projects you've done, maybe that's not actual paragraphs. Maybe it's literally just 2 images at the bottom and it's like, check out the 51st project reveal? And did you see the kitchen at 1234 Main Street? And so it's not like full paragraphs of text as well.
Okay, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. I think the key takeaway there is you want somebody to be able to read your email in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So, because I've seen some really crazy long emails, and it's not about the length of the email, it's about like the really appealing content.
Right.
Whose email did I just click on like yesterday? And I said that there was a couple sections, and every single section I clicked on what they were asking me to click on because it was so appealing. And I think that the copy piece, this is another thing, we could have a whole webinar on talking about copy and writing and editorial and blah, blah, blah. But the copy and the way that you're speaking to your audience is so, and like having that brevity, like making it short and to the point. Do you have any like quick pointers on copy of your email newsletter?
Yeah, I would always write your email newsletter in first person as if you were speaking directly to one person. You want it to sound more personal. It also is a way to get around Google filtering your newsletter into spam. So I know that sometimes you want your business to feel really big and super professional, and so you want to write things in third person. I actually would not recommend that when it comes to your email newsletter, because Google will see that as spammy and will put you in the promotions tab. So if you use words like I and you, not only will your click-through rate go up, but also you have a better chance of landing in someone's actual inbox versus their promotions tab or worse, spam.
Great, that makes sense. And so somebody else was asking, so you would say like 3 different sections, just confirming, you said like 2 or 3, not more than 3.
Yeah, correct, not more than 3. So I would usually, the formula we use will be like your focus hero content at the top. So that's your new project reveal or this cute testimonial with the family from a project you just did. Then the middle section could be referencing other blog posts or some other previous content. And then the bottom section would be 2 different projects that are past projects that you can send people to as well.
Okay, fabulous. That makes perfect sense. Great. I don't see any other questions. I just see a lot of people asking and telling us what amazing content this has been, and that they really want to go back and take notes because they didn't have time to catch everything. So this link will be emailed out to you. Don't worry, it will be recorded. It is recorded. You can listen to Anastasia Dish All. And I loved your bonus content. I loved how you also advise us designers listening in on like learning how to say no to clients. Like marketing is great, but you can't take every lead that comes at you. You have to pick and choose. I think it's really important to have the sense of organization, to understand like this is just information. You have to take it like a grain of salt, start somewhere. Maybe you can't fit in a newsletter every month to start, and maybe you just start with 4 newsletters. You do quarterly newsletters. And then once you have more of a system in place, then you can up your cadence to once a month. So anyways, we're so appreciative of you joining us for yet another webinar, Anastasia. And
Thank you.
If you guys want to follow her other webinars, you can just go to ivy.co/webinars. I'll drop the link in here too. Lots of relevant content. And somebody was asking in the beginning about being from a certain location. Make sure if you are using Ivy, that you do join our Facebook group. I'll stay on. Anastasia can pop off for a little bit and answer any questions about Ivy and just give you a quick run through of what Ivy does and why we're here. So thank you so much. And we'll talk to you soon, Anastasia.
Thank you.
Bye.